Welcome to the Luminary Life Kits podcast, where each week I help you reconnect with and resource yourself as a working mom so you can savor this full-on and full-hearted season of life with young kids. I'm your host, Cara Mayola. I'm a licensed professional counselor, a women's health specialist, and a fellow working mom with a young kiddo. I am so looking forward to connecting with you today. This week, I cannot wait to share with you my strategy on how to feel more replenished with your limited downtime as a working mom with young kiddos, and how to use micro connection and regulation practices to better nurture an evolving and changing and growing you. I'm wondering if you can relate to this common challenge that most working moms that I know and talk to on a regular basis deal with. And that is not only getting some downtime and important self-care time into your daily schedule, but when you actually do carve out the 10 minutes, 15 minutes, hour, whatever you have, when you actually carve out that time, do you arrive at that time either one, not knowing exactly what to do with your time, or two, feeling like you're not getting the full reset or the deep replenishment that you're ultimately craving and really needing? If this sounds like you are in good company, you're in the right place. I can't wait to dive in with you today. So first, let's establish something, woman to woman, mom to mom. Of course, there are time demands that limit the amount of personal time, free time, or downtime, or self-care time, whatever you want to call it. The need that we have as humans to feel really whole is big. And you are in a constricted season of life where your need and what you deserve and what we all want in terms of time with ourselves or for ourselves, to connect, to find replenishment, to feel joy, to be inspired, to tap into our creativity, to care for our bodies, to connect deeply with ourselves or our friends or partners, our need for that outweighs the amount of time that most of us have on a daily basis to meet those needs. So no wonder when you get to your precious downtime, you might have trouble either feeling totally fulfilled by whatever activity you did, or you might have trouble knowing where to start with this 60 minutes total of time that maybe I had in a day. Do I do something for my body? Do I connect with my friends? Do I do something alone, or do I try to find somebody to do it with me? It's really hard to arrive at that limited time and not know exactly what is going to give you the most bang for your buck, so to speak. And let's also name and acknowledge that this season of life that you're in is a big identity changing season. So I think that it's the under talked about identity change season of life in common popular culture. I think that most women get that becoming a parent for the first time, or each time you have another child, it's a big role and identity change. Can you feel that big shift that happened in you when you became a mother? Now, so much of what you do and think about and make a priority to you has to do with this really special relationship that you have with your kiddo or kiddos. And when life changes so dramatically, the schedule changes so dramatically, we change dramatically as well. But this is the thing that I don't think people talk about, is that after that initial identity change, when you have a small child, let's say 2 years old or under, we create a new normal for ourselves. Now, once we're 2 years into becoming a parent, that is a new normal. We've fully kind of brought in that identity of mother. And that identity of mother evolves as our kids grow and evolve. So that identity of mother will continue to grow and change and evolve over time. But we've kind of more firmly established ourselves in that identity of mother. But what about the evolving and growing and changing woman that you are? Behind the mothering, behind your identity or role as a working person or a professional person, what about the you that is now growing and changing? You're probably now in your mid to late 30s or early to mid to late 40s, and you are a different woman, not just because you're a mother, but you are starting to feel within like you're needing or wanting something different for yourself or more for yourself. You're wanting more from your work or more from your relationships or more from yourself, more in this one precious life that you have to live. So we need connection practices that help us be nourished and grounded and clear and in closer proximity to the woman that we're growing into and becoming. A couple years ago, I found myself in this reoccurring situation where I would get together with a couple of friends and we would be checking in a little bit on a deeper level with what was happening in our lives and in our hearts. And they kept asking me, so Kara, where are you at with that, how you're going to use your downtime challenge? Because I was telling them, every time I get to this window of time in my schedule that actually gets a little bit bigger as my son gets a little bit older, I find that I'm lost. Like I don't know what to do if I'm not spending time with a friend or if I'm not doing a yoga class or going on a walk or doing something to care for my physical body. I felt unclear and unsure about what I wanted to do with my downtime. What part of myself to connect in with, what part of my life or my health to support or nurture. I was feeling really kind of lost and disoriented at what would actually help me feel the most fulfilled and most connected to an evolving self. So after showing up to that friend time 2 or 3 times in, I was like, I've got to figure something out. This is not right. I need to feel not only like I'm maximizing my downtime, but I don't want to leave that downtime feeling under-supported, under-nurtured, under-nourished. Around the same time, I was doing some bigger clinical training for my job as a licensed professional counselor. And I was doing some deep dives on learning how our nervous system state influences the way that our brain works. So brain meaning our mood, our thoughts, our patterns of thought, our ways of moving through our emotions, our habits and our tendencies, and even our perceptions of ourselves and other people. And I had this aha moment for myself, which I have later offered to many other women and many other students who have had such great benefits with this aha. And the aha moment was, I'm coming into my downtime already depleted, burning the candle at both ends, and without my best brain online. I need to do something at the very start of my downtime. And it needs to be short because I have limited downtime. So I need to do a micro practice, something that signals safety to my nervous system, gets my best brain online, that can help me to, 1, make better decisions about what I'm going to be doing with my free time, and 2, help me just to feel more connected and tuned into myself. So since then, I've developed probably 24 highly potent for me and for the women who have tried them, micro-regulating and micro-connecting practices that serve so many purposes. These practices help me to both settle into and arrive at that downtime more connected and as the best version of myself. They help me decide what I'm going to do with my limited downtime. And they help me to gain the benefit of whatever I choose to do more fully and completely. One of my students has a 3-year-old. And so if you don't have a 3-year-old anymore, I just want you to think back at what that precious and beautiful demand is, having a 3-year-old. And she found that sometimes all she got were 10 to 15 minutes of downtime peppered throughout a day. And so having micro practices that are that short or shorter can really serve that role of giving you satisfied and quality downtime, even when you don't have a lot of time to do something for yourself. Or at least that's what my friend and student was able to find. And she found that when she was using those micro practices during the day, she was more likely to arrive at her downtime at night, much more likely to feel like she was using her time in a way that felt rewarding. So rather than collapsing on the couch and just like scrolling or endlessly looking for something to watch on Netflix, or just feeling guilty that you're wasting your time and not really using your downtime, she was feeling so much more like she could arrive to that time in the evening, do a micro practice, and then settle into whatever her relaxation time was going to be, feeling like she was clear that it was the best use of her time and feeling a deeper reward from whatever it was that she chose to do. So my friend, I want you to feel like me and like the friend that I just shared with you. I would love to share the benefits of micro regulation and connection practices. So let's talk about the 3 key benefits of bringing in more connection with yourself, letting your best brain get online with a regulated nervous system, and then also benefiting from guided micro-regulation practices. Let's get into it. So the first benefit of a micro practice is that it will bring your best brain back online so that you can make the best choice to use your time with whatever amount of time that you have. As I shared a little bit earlier, the state of your body, so your connection, safety, and regulation system, which is your nervous system, will profoundly influence the way that you're thinking, the way that you're perceiving, the type of energy you have to bring to that downtime, the mood and the way that your mood impacts your downtime. It will really influence the way you experience your connection with yourself and whatever it is you're doing during that downtime. And when we don't attend to our mind-body connection, whatever we do with our downtime will likely help us to feel more regulated and connected. Not always, but likely. But it might not have as regulating effect as you ultimately need to feel like your most nurtured and connected self. So if you layer just a small micro regulation or connection practice on top of or in front of whatever it is that you're enjoying doing with your downtime, my hunch is that you're going to get much more nervous system regulation benefits than if you would have just done whatever the relaxing or enjoyable activity was from the first place. So you'll want to use a micro-regulation practice at the onset of your downtime so that you can get the most benefit out of whatever you do with your time, and so that you have your best, most focused, your clearest brain available to you to make a good decision with the time that you have. I find that when I don't do this, I end up just kind of habitually looking on social media, or habitually scrolling or looking things up, or habitually diving into a podcast or an audio book. Those are my habits with downtime when I haven't done a regulating practice in advance that helps me to clear the cobwebs, let go of my to-dos, and connect more deeply with myself so that I can decide what would be the most rewarding and enjoyable use of my downtime. The second benefit of adding in a micro connection or regulation practice in your downtime is that it helps you to get your cup more fully filled. I've been thinking about this a lot lately in my personal life. I've been thinking about that old adage or saying that you can't pour or drink from an empty cup. And there's a lot that I'm trying to do in my life, and I think you're the same. There's a lot you're trying to sustain. There's a lot you're trying to grow. There's a lot you're trying to hold. And there's a lot you're trying to nurture or care for. Maybe it's your work or a change in work. Maybe it's your family or changes happening in your family. And maybe it's just within yourself that you can feel you're growing into a new skin or a new version of yourself. And it's really hard to move into that creative or nurturing or generative space when we are depleted and haven't filled our own cup adequately. Most working moms are chronically operating from an empty cup. So one way that we can fill our cups is to establish a ritual of deeper connection with ourselves. We need ways to practice being with ourselves, being in the messy middle, being in the learning, being in the uncertainty, just being in the quiet of our own thoughts and our own desires and our own becoming, learning how to be in this transitional, evolving space within, versus the doing that we're so habituated and accustomed to. I know that if you're anything like me, you are doing all day long. You are doing for yourself, for your household, for your kiddos, for your work, all day long. And so when we come into our downtime as if we're going to do it and check it off of our list, we feel less connected with ourselves and less fulfilled by whatever it is that we decided to do. So these micro connection and regulation practices help us to feel more centered and grounded in who we are in that present moment, in that day, and therefore feel more fulfilled from whatever we choose to do with ourselves. And then the third benefit of these micro-regulating and connecting practices is that we get the benefit of something called co-regulation. So in nervous system speak, one of the ways that we can signal safety to the mind-body connection is by letting our nervous system benefit from a grounded and safe and regulated nervous system or signal of safety outside of ourselves. Even right now, I wonder if you can notice, is the way that I'm talking, are the things that I'm saying, is the cadence of my voice or the tone of what I'm saying, is that signaling safety to you? Is that piquing your interest? Is that creating a space of hope or belief that something new might occur for you? I hope so, my friend. Our mind-body connection moves from a dysregulated or not quite safe enough, not quite grounded enough space when we are able to connect with a safe and regulated presence outside of ourselves. I know you know this because you do it every day for your kids over and over again. But who is taking care of you? Who, mama, is available at all times in that regulated, calm, and resource state to connect with you, to care for your mind-body connection, and help you to plug in and locate yourself as you're evolving and changing? My guess is there's probably no one that's able to do that for your life all the time. It's certainly true for me. My partner, my friends, even myself, I can do those things for myself, and my partner does that for me, and my friends can do that for me as well. But no one is available all the time. And no one else is always regulated all the time. So we need those guided practice to provide that connection and co-regulation and take the caregiving responsibility for yourself partially and for just a few minutes out of your own hands. And I would like to invite into mine. I've developed a generous audio library that is a private podcast community that you can put onto your phone and access any time of day, any day of the week, for almost any situation you could find yourself in, so that you can have a rich library of resources to find regulation and connection. But of course, you don't need to use my resources. I encourage you to create a little library for yourself, whether they be playlists or meditation links, or however you want to create these little micro practices that you can tap into and key into over and over again, so that you can start your downtime off on the right foot, or the right brain, so to speak, and make the most of your limited downtime. Of course, if you don't have the time or want to take the time to do that, my friend, that's why I created the Calm Kit. She's there for you whenever you're ready. So I hope you will leave today understanding that feeling more replenished and more clarity around how you want to spend and benefit from your limited downtime relies in part by your ability to integrate micro-regulation and micro-connection practices in to that downtime, so that you can better connect with and support your evolving and changing self during this beautifully evolving and changing season of life that you're in. Thank you so much for your time and attention today, my friend. Looking forward to connecting with you again very soon.